Hi,
Hey
Craig.
Greg. Hey Greg, how's it
Can
going?
you hear me?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Good. How's things?
Not bad, you? Nice to see you.
You too, as always.
Yeah.
Slightly different. Well, where did we bump into each other last time? It was Denmark for 3 days, wasn't it?
Denmark, I think, and then before that, London, I think. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. Well, good to see you, and thanks for joining us today. It's obviously always appreciate
Pleasure.
precious time. I think the reason for today was, just to talk to you primarily about obviously folding surfaces, which is the new product launch from Howe, which was designed by yourself and your company. But I think before we get into that, I think we should just find out a little bit about yourself and about Jones and Partner Studio. So, without further ado, give me a little bit of a background about yourself.
I guess started work really as an internal designer for about 8 years, working for a few companies in London, and got sort of management stage after about 8 years of designing product, and decided that it was maybe time to do it my own way. So had a little bit of a holiday, took a year off, went around the world, and then came back and borrowed some cash, bought a computer, contacted the people I used to work for, got some projects off them, and in June 2000, that's when Jones and Partners started. So next year's our quarter century. So yeah, it's been a.
How many people are you up to now? How many people are
There's,
part of the company?
there's five of us now. We're a small team, really. We sort of we fluctuate. We've been up to about 11, been down to 3, and that's either people choosing different careers. We've had some great employees over the 25 years. Some have gone on to some really amazing things, Fosters and Partners, IDC, and so it's been a good. I think most people have been within the business have enjoyed it and the time that they've been within it, and so yeah, no, it's been a good journey overall so far.
Good. And 5 people is kind of a nice. It's a sweet spot, really, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, 10
That's
was
what we are at Howe
10
in
was
the UK.
yeah, 10 was a bit much. Just generating the amount of projects you need with a studio that big was, I don't know, was difficult. But I mean, we also, I suppose, in the last decade, we've changed our tact a little bit as well. We started moving into different areas. We started operating more in lighting, technology, acoustics, consumer products, interior architecture, because effectively a lot of those things are linked with the furniture anyway, and that's definitely part of the inspiration for folding surfaces would have been how technology has been adopted within contract furniture, and a little bit the fear factor that people have of battery technology and wireless charging and how to use it. And so we're very much advocates for that level of technology and how that's integrated, how the user experience participates with that product, and whether that's plug socket or USB-C. We're pretty much 10 years in developing technology products now, and so and there's a reason for that. We feel that technology product is driving the way that furniture systems are being adopted. So folding surfaces was definitely been part of a journey, I suppose, where the technology is improving, enhancing, and is allowing these sorts of products to be put into the marketplace.
Makes complete sense. So I know, obviously, you most of your background, but obviously you work with numerous manufacturers, within our industry at least. How do you go about sort of choosing those partners? What do you look for?
I guess strategy for us is really key to it. So we're not a brand that plays design roulette. So we would very much, certainly with folding surfaces, we would have looked at the Howe portfolio, had concepts already of an idea of how we could make this sort of fit within your brand, and realize that you would be a partner that could be approached, and then we would then approach the appropriate person. Hopefully, within that business, we're in the same mindset of what that joint partnership is, because it is a partnership, when especially with a brand like yourselves and some of the other global brands we work with, it's a long journey and it's a big investment. And when it's done properly, it could be very, very successful. So yeah, we'll identify brands that we would love to be on things like this with you on your website and stuff, and then we would identify where there's opportunities. But it's always by strategy, as opposed to we don't very rarely send renders out to people and say, "Do you want one of these?" Because we just don't understand your brand, your philosophy, your strategies. Therefore, it would be presumptuous for us to think that we could then work with you. So it's very much a step-by-step process for us, but understanding that there's something there in the first place, there's a need for it, and that's what we did with you guys. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, I guess that leads us quite nicely onto sort of folding surfaces as a new product range. Could you briefly describe it and what kind of table it is?
Yeah, I think it's, well, I mean, the audience probably won't, but it's kind of more than a table in a sense. We're kind of seeing it as a cleverly thought out set of jigsaw puzzle pieces that interact not just with the surface, but with the technology. And obviously what we launched at NearCon and subsequent events is the start of a journey, and there's the roadmap that we've got planned for the next 18 months will show that journey grow. But I suppose in terms of it as what it is, a product, and why we did it, it's meant to be a product that solves problems for users. That's it's got a portfolio expansion. It's very dynamic and flexible for any environment. And again, I go back to the technology integration with it, because you don't need a floor box with this particular one. You can, if you want, you can use batteries, you can use power, you can use fixed power, you can use no power, you can bring power to it. So we were trying to make, I suppose, the humble table do more than it can. So whilst there are tables on wheels that fold, there aren't any of the size that we've developed and the scale that we've developed with all of that integration. And I think that's probably
the most important design aspect then of folding surfaces, the battery integration and the fact that it can be used, in an old style building. I always say, with perimeter power, no raised floor, no floor boxes, that sort of thing. Was that? You think that's the most important aspect of it, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what was quite interesting at NearCon, watching people use it, and so the ability to be able to change an environment quickly. We've got 20 people in the office today. Tomorrow there's going to be 40. The way this sort of 3-day week is working at the moment, where people are fluctuating in and out of space, we don't really know, from day to day what the prescription of people are. So that ability to change space, the ability to add or reduce power requirements, changing the environment for training meeting rooms, private meeting rooms, and sort of the adoption of the two parts, which is the mobile power as well as the fixed power, gives us a bit of a breathing space in all aspects of buildings, like you say, whether it's fixed floor, perimeter buildings, whether it's something coming from the ceiling. So we're trying to make sure that whether the power is integrated in the table still doesn't mean that you can't move it to a power source if you don't want battery technology. So covering all of those bases, I suppose, that's why we've done that integration and non-integration, because I think the user can decide, and it's about the imagination of the user. It's about, I've got this space, it's empty, how do I want to fill it? There's 40 people, 10 people are going to have laptops, 5 people are going to have computers, some people will be there all the time, some people won't. And so we're trying to create this environment where it does give the architects, designers, the ultimate flexibility.
What were the main challenges, would you say, in the design process? Obviously, I think we had it in our head what we wanted. I guess as a supplier of functional furniture, the questions we get asked on a regular basis. But what was the main challenges for you guys?
I think the original product we presented to the board was a specific size, and rightly so. The feedback from the sales organization within your business, yourself and the rest of the team, was around large scale items that are truly mobile and can facilitate up to 8 to 10 people, which meant that we had to grow the original design by almost a third in its length. That gave us enormous structural problems in the beginning. I think we were in Poland together and saw the first prototype, and it wasn't quite what we expected. So yeah, and I think that the structural element to it was the hardest part to resolve. And
sorry to interrupt there, but just for people that don't know the product that well, the size that we're talking about is 2.4 meters long by 1600 wide. So it's a sizable table that can be folded away quite neatly. And I guess therein lies the problem: the weight of the tops supporting those. I guess that's,
yeah. I mean, the top panels are 52 kilograms in chipboard, so they're quite heavy. Um,
side.
and per side, yeah. And so on a, when you've got 4 legs which are supporting that structure, it was a bit of an engineering challenge. And one of our peers, actually, we met at Neocoms, chatting to within the designers industry, was quite curious to chat about the engineering and the the skill behind getting a product of this scale to market. And we mustn't forget there's a team within the Howe business that supported this, that we work closely with. I won't mention names; they know who they are. But your internal team, we merged really well with those guys, and it was an excellent partnership, and it made it probably a success. But I think without the guys at base, we would have struggled, I think, with some of the decisions that we had to make. And so it's a testament to everybody within the group that's been part of this development. Jones and Partners may be getting the sort of plaudits for the product innovation, if you like, and getting the product to market. But actually, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that we've got to say thank you to, that really, really supported us. Nick within our team, was part of it, was myself, and without the support of your guys, then it would have been probably a much more of an uphill challenge, I think. So I guess online, thanks guys.
I'm sure they'll appreciate your appreciation. The integrated power solutions, are, as we've touched on, are a standout feature. Could you walk us through this idea and how it's developed and how you see it impacting workspace design and the implementation of that?
Yeah, I think I sort of touched upon it earlier. For the last decade, we've been developing wireless chargers, battery packs, radio controlled devices for nuclear sites, speakers, audio products, and so we do have a real interest in technology, particularly the battery sector. I mean, the first just literally popped into my mind. I remember when my son was born, sitting in a shop outside having a coffee, looking around the building, and this is 15 years ago now. And I was in a coffee shop looking at the way people were interacting with the furniture, and everybody on the outside had a laptop or a phone. Everyone in the middle had a newspaper, and I was like, there's no power in the middle, right? So at that point is when we started thinking about battery technology, and at that point there was not really the technology wasn't advanced enough for us to be able to bring that into workplace. So we've always been monitoring how that works, and now there are available products that we can integrate with it and customize and do what we need to do. We're also mindful that we have to cater for plug socket 13 amp, USB-C, USB-A, HDMI, and we're in a really weird technology space at the moment where at some point in the next probably 2 to 5 years, every laptop will have a USB-C charging cable, and all that sort of stuff. So we're in this sort of real melting pot of.
I was going to say that's been tricky. I would say, up until fairly recently, with obviously Apple not playing ball. Maintaining the fact that they have their own charger, and why would they want to change that? I guess that's made life a bit easier with everybody finally giving into USB-C.
I think so. But I think, again, you think about the businesses that you're cooperating with, and we also get first-hand experience with PwC's, Deloitte's, I don't know, big insurance companies. They're not going to be able to switch out, 10,000 laptops today, right? So there's a progression that will happen over time. So, we as designers have to facilitate all of those different forms of technology at the moment, and it's a real challenge because obviously one size doesn't fit all at the moment, and that's where having the different modulations within folding surfaces and either integrated or not integrated, one thing allows us to upgrade. So from a sustainability point of view, we can change that up. So if you want to upgrade your product from a 13 amp product to a USB-C in later life, then you can. So we've had to consider all of that stuff.
Swapping out the modules.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we know it's coming, but there's no actual, it's not like Christmas Day. There's not a date where you're going to go, right, okay, tomorrow we all flip to USB-C. It's not going to happen in that way. So it's going to be organic. So every consideration we've made with whether it's the battery technology or the power units or the way that the units are assembled is on the basis that we understand that there's a switch up program coming down the tracks.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I kind of hadn't thought about it like that. And it's something that the table range kind of really does provide for. And also, it's also a bit of a demographic thing, isn't it? You know, people that don't want to swap over phones, and
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with what
Yeah.
I've got, and you know, USB-A, and it's like, well, you can't, as you say, sort of preempt it and swap everything out, because then people will be kind of left behind through no fault of their own.
When we were doing the the awards presentation at NeoCon for the Business Impact Award, which we won, which was amazing. A lot of the judges were kind of talking about that and about what the point of the product was, the facilities, and it's a really quite proud moment for everyone really involved. Is that one of the head judges turned to me and said, "This is a facilities dream. Like you've just given me all the answers to all the problems that I've been asking the architects and designers to deal with that we can't deal with in businesses." Let's not forget the demographic of the technology is one thing, but this product's going to be manufactured all over the world. So we've not only got to think about a 13-amp plug for the UK, we've got to think about an Australian socket, we've got to think about European socket, Schuko, Japan, and how all that integration works and the rules and regulations around that product around the world. So it was quite nice to get some credibility from those esteemed judges, at the panel and at NeoCon. That was quite a nice thing to hear.
Well, it's always good to hear good things about your own designs, but when they're coming from people in those sort of positions, even better.
Yeah.
And I guess because our design brief would have been how, as it's known, the kind of we're known for flexible furniture, flipping, folding, stacking. It's within sort of the DNA of the brand. How do you see flexible furniture in the current sort of workspace environment? Is it something post-COVID that's now more important, or?
I think it's always been there. I think it probably will expand in terms of environment. I think a lot of the decisions that are going to be made are going to be whether or not, if you look at the Amazon and Google responses this week, which was about bringing people back 5 days a week, that's always been a view of mine that I think that will eventually happen, but probably not every single job location. So the transition, again, we don't know the length of time that transition is going to take. So workspace has to be adaptable, flexible. It has to change. There will be still people who do 3-day weeks. Some do 5. So, how does a building go from 50 people one day to 500 the next? So absolutely is important. But I think, again, I'm probably doing the same repeat here, but apologies for that, because I do think it's really paramountly important for every bit of furniture, not necessarily folding surfaces, but that integration of technology is key to it, because without it, it doesn't work. You're going to have cables running across floors, and you're going to have problems in infrastructure. So you can't, with folding surfaces, you can put it on any floor plate you want. You don't even worry about the floor boxes. You don't worry about printed cables.
What do you say to people though that moan about the prices of batteries?
Well, I think look, technology is changing. Okay, so lithium ions running out. Solid state batteries are being invested heavily by all the big EV vehicles. It's not going away. The environmental story still has spikes which need to be flattened out, but fundamentally, it's not going to disappear. There's no way. So the technology behind it, France have just put £7.4 billion into a battery farm all across one section of France, and that's a launch that was out last Friday from the battery. There's a battery expo that I follow, and so it's not changing. So I think what will change, the landscape will change, will be the landscape of whether it's carbon, sodium. It certainly won't be lithium ion, whether it's solid state, and how fast that technology can improve, because the reports that we're reading says that lithium ion batteries will reduce in size significantly, and weight and cost, because technology will continue to evolve that space. Now, these are all interim reports, nothing's certain with no dates, but I don't think it's going to stop. I mean, look how many electric car vehicles are on the road now. Look how many charging stations there are around the UK. I'm an electric vehicle owner, and the infrastructure is phenomenal. So is that going to stop? I don't think so.
Well, it's not, according to sort of the government legislation that's been brought out, or it's been around for a while, hasn't it? Obviously, the goalposts keep moving in terms of the dates when that's going to be no sort of internal combustion engines sold again. But it's within the workplace for sure. I guess my argument thus far, the kind of the short time that we've had the folding surfaces around, is the cost of the fit outside of things. Actually doing the raised floor, building the grommets or the the floor boxes, cutting them out is a hugely expensive, part
Yeah,
of it.
I agree with you, Greg. I mean, if you look at the building infrastructure cost versus the cost of a battery for folding surfaces, then there will be no comparison really. It's a mindset, and I think that's also a fear factor as well. So if we ignore the cost just for now, I think we're talking to end users at the moment about the integration of technology like this within corporate businesses, and it's a little bit of fear because people are paranoid because you know what it's like. You're on the tube, you've got 34% in your phone, got to get to that meeting, I haven't got any power, I've got my battery pack, it's not charged, oh damn it. So the stress involved in making sure your technology is fully loaded means that you sure when you plug into that USB port with a battery at the office it's going to work. And so I think there's a fear factor around the technology. Yeah, yeah. But
that'll drive into the facilities teams as well. I think it's kind of this. I think for me though, it's something if someone buys into and really kind of gets their head around it offers so much more than just being able to, especially with the battery packs being used in the tables. They can be taken away, used individually. So it gives you a large amount of flexibility. And obviously, if the cost can be brought down somewhat, then I think it's a really nice addition and feature to be able to incorporate.
Yeah, we did an exploratory project for somebody who I can't name at the moment, an end user, where we did run mobile surfaces, walls, but mainly walls with TV screens, and they were sort of 60-inch screens that we use for presentations, and they could be anywhere within the floor plate of a building. And it was a really successful pilot, and that tells me that if a corporate business can run this through 10 floors of their building with a limited amount of items within it, that the infrastructure of a building can be whatever it needs to be to support batteries. And if that cost saving is on the build, then it's up to the architects and designers, I suppose, to try and look at that as an advanced technology.
Have that fight, I guess. Which way they go.
Yeah.
What's next on the horizon for folding surfaces? Is there anything else to add to the range? Is it all done now, or the more size, other things to happen?
It's not all done, but I guess, as you know, if I tell you what's coming next, which some of it already, I'm sworn to secrecy. So we are continuing. There are things in the pipeline. We were very deliberate about what was launched at NeoCon, and I think that was based on having production ready product to sell at the show. So behind that there are other things coming, and I suppose my only insight to that is that the new things will be connecting people. How about that as a little
snippet for you? We'll take that away. Look, to wrap up our conversation, a couple of quick fire questions. Please say the first things that come to your mind. What do flexibility and functionality mean to you?
I think happiness to the end user.
Okay. And what does it take to create a timeless design?
It takes vision.
Question.
Yeah, but no, I think there's a good answer to that. I mean, I think it takes vision. It takes a purpose. It takes very clever people. Timing is everything, and I'd say probably a bit of luck as well. I think
with everything.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate all your answers today, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to speak with us.
Thanks, Greg. Nice to see you.
We'll stay in touch, and if anyone wants any sort of further information on the folding surfaces range, obviously get in touch with myself and or Craig. Obviously be willing to answer any sort of more in-depth questions, I'm sure. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.